It has always been my private conviction that any man who pits his intelligence against a fish and loses has it coming. John Steinbeck. Good evening. Welcome to the late edition of Talking All Things Fishing with On Topic. I am stinky. I fished yesterday for a little bit, just trying to see what kind of bait fish are around in the creeks that I live nearby, and also fished today. And I didn't take a shower. And yeah, I really should. Oof, it smells like I smell fishy. Anyways, while I am talking, what I'm going to do is I am going to show a video, of course, which I will upload later for people to watch. I'll just talk over while I'm watching the video. And I'll probably I'll have the video muted so I can just kind of show people and talk about a few things. Tomorrow night, we'll do a share your recipe night. Basically, I will share a recipe, mostly of my fishing stuff. But because the only time I really cook is when I catch fish. I do the catching, I do the gutting, filleting. I usually fillet now. I don't even gut the fish. And then I do all the prep work, and I do all the fish cooking. My wife otherwise does all the cooking because she likes to cook, but I don't think she wants to cook fish because it probably tastes fishy. Let's see. Let's go ahead and move it to here, and I'm gonna play it back. And of course, it is gonna be muted. The video playback. Now, you can also join me and talk about fishing. And we'll see how long it goes. I think the video here is 14 minutes and 11 seconds long. So this show might go on for about 25 minutes to half an hour. If nobody is watching, we'll go ahead and switch it over. Well, I didn't really have anything planned. I'll just end it. And here we go. So this is in Lake North in Columbus, Nebraska. This was on the 5th of this month and 9th of this month, which is today. This one is when I caught a catfish. Now, I am wearing like almost knee-high boots, waterproof boots, so I could kind of go in the water. And there's this little narrow kind of water gate that separates Lake Babcock with Lake North from the Loop Power District. And my favorite rig setup is at the bottom. I've got this jig that has 2 treble hooks. And this one, interestingly, I caught the catfish on the eye. 3.27 pounds. Pretty hefty catfish, good eating. I cooked it using a Louisiana blackened Cajun catfish recipe. Whew, that was good. Now, I think this is all today. It was really rainy in the morning. I got soaked because I was still fishing out there. I caught a couple of fish. This one was the catch of the day, the only fish that I took home, and it is a walleye. It was about 19.5 inches, as you'll see, and I think 2.74 pounds. It was a good one. Now, difference between bringing in a catfish, it's like reeling in a log, but reeling in a walleye, it gives a pretty good fight until you get it in the shallows. Even when you get in the shallows, it's still fighting. I'm only using 10-pound test, which is more than enough. But of course, walleye have some pretty sharp little teeth, and it unhooked itself from my my jig, and I had to use my knee-high boots, waterproof boots, to just kind of stop it from escaping. I just used it kind of like a blockade, and that was able to do the trick. So I was able to. I couldn't get it out of its mouth. There, I didn't have my pliers, so I went to go get the pliers. Killed it humanely and efficiently, and then rinsed it off. And there's just a photo of me. That is my first walleye, about 20 inches. And I made a Parmesan crusted walleye, and that was good. My son doesn't like fish. He doesn't like trout, at least, but he loved eating this. He ate quite a bit of it, especially after he ate his meal. The rest of the day, I was catching mostly white bass and drum. After the rain stopped, these two, I think they might have been Mexican fishermen, came, and I just gave all my drum and my white bass to them. And they didn't. No one. I didn't see anyone catch the fish, except one of the Mexican fishermen caught one drum, and it was kind of small. But otherwise, I was just catching so much. This one was a twofer, so I caught two fish, high cone and high woods. What is my favorite type of fish to catch? Trout, rainbow trout. I don't know why I'm just a trout person. I just love catching trout. White bass, some big ones, they give you a pretty good fight. And having two on a line. Now these I sent back. I mean, pretty much, I was looking for catfish, because after I had catfish, I wanted to try a different recipe, but I caught everything but catfish today. And I instead caught a good-sized walleye. I caught a lot of white bass, and I caught a lot of drum. I also saw on the road, I accidentally ran over northern pike. So there is northern pike in Lake North as well. I didn't know that. And I would just wondered how that northern pike got there. Did it somehow... the winds, when it was raining, just it jumped up in the air and just got carried onto the road? Or did someone catch it earlier and just decide to leave it on the road? It doesn't make sense if someone would do that, though. It kind of sucks. This one is a drum. Drum are pretty good fighting. People call them a trash fish, but I actually ate one of them and I didn't mind it. It was good. I feel like any fish out there is good eating, as long as you know how to prep it and stuff. And it's always worth experimenting a couple of times. Like, you might have tried it once with one recipe or one way of cooking it and didn't do good, but there's so many different ways of cooking. And that one I sent on its merry way. There you can see that's my jig. It's a smaller version. There is a bigger version, but that smaller version is more than enough to catch a lot of these fish. This is another drum. What's funny is I lost that jig earlier because underneath there's this little gate. It's a big gate, not a little gate. It's a big gate. And so many lures get caught there. And here's another double. This is a double drum. So many lures and... oh, no. Those are two white bass again. Yeah, two white bass. So again, you can see you can see the bottom one is a jig head, and the top one is just a hook. I'm using I think that's 1/4 ounce jig head, which is not heavy enough in the water the way that it moves. And then I've got a size 2/0 hook. No. Yeah. Hear me. Size 2/0 hook. No, size 2 hook. No, size 2/0 hook, sorry. And I'm using a swivel barrel hook, so it's kind of a 3-way barrel, and it just doesn't make it so it's tangled. And I use the gloves that I've got, and of course these are the two Mexican fishermen. I must have caught I think 25 fish today. It was a lot of fish. Some of it I didn't even film, so this is all like a compile of the ones I did film. And anyway, I was saying before, I wear the gloves just so, I mean, my hands don't smell, because usually I would rinse my hands in the water, but the water is pretty unclean, I would say murky, because you got all the farm runoff that goes into it and stuff like that. I don't mind eating the fish from it. The fish don't seem to have any negative signs. And if you fillet the fish, there's a part of the inside called the mud line or the blood line. You get rid of that stuff. That's where all the contaminants accumulate. So once you get rid of that, it's good. Anyways, the later you're gonna see me catching and giving away more. And one of the guys that was giving the fish to gave me a Red Bull. I don't drink Red Bull. I tried it and it was kind of bad. I couldn't even finish it, but it was a nice gesture. Again, many people consider drum trash fish, and they'll sometimes just kill it and just leave it out there. I don't understand it. They should at least try eating it. It is pretty good. And again, the others who were taking it, they didn't seem to mind it at all. Too many crotch shots. I think I might need to start bringing a tripod and have some extra shots, because usually I don't have a lot of time, just because I want to catch the fish I want to catch, and this is easy, having GoPro on my chest and catching all the fish I need to catch before I have to pick up my daughter from school. And one of the things I really do want to do is do a catch and cook, and certain places don't allow open fire, so I'd have to find a grill, but there are some places that have fishing and grilling. So like these, and right after I'd fish, I'd go ahead and fillet it and just do a quick grill and taste it. Just what I would actually like. Oops, I dropped something. I hope I don't break it. Where the heck did it go? I hate it when you drop something and it just goes somewhere far away or somewhere weird. Like, I don't get where it could go. Honest. Oh, there it is. Whew. All right. What I would love to do is find some nearby ingredients, like either bushes or plants or trees or whatever, and use that whatever's nearby as seasoning and ways to prep it. Maybe even the wood. So there might be different types of wood that's available. That's not. Well, I don't really want to chop something down, so who knows? We'll see. Yeah, that may not work in protected lands, but public lands probably. We'll see. But anyways, the thought is just to get stuff that's out there and just see if I can make something that's good, not just flame broiled fish, you know. And the water there is pretty tricky. The current can get pretty bad. People have died from falling in or swimming or something like that, just to get caught in some riptide, and that's not good. But the fish, I lost a good amount of lures, and so do a lot of other people. But I'm starting to find the spots. I typically don't fish for a lot of this these fish. I mean, mostly a trout person, but I like to fish, and there's no stock trout that's still alive until fall stop trout stalking. And if other than that, I have to drive about 90 minutes each way in order to get to a place. Now I am trying to find a creek nearby that might be spring fed, and I think there might be a couple options, and I'm going to try and fish them to see if there's any wild trout. I kind of missed my opportunity because good way to know is, well, clarity is one, and two, the temperature of the water. So what I might want to do is I'll probably just bring a temperature thermometer, water thermometer or something, and measure the temperature of the water. If it's around 52 degrees, whether it's really hot or really cold, then that's a good indication that that's spring fed. And sometimes trying to catch these, like I won't be able to turn on my camera until I've got a fish on, unless just to save batteries. And I may have to try to figure out how to do a better battery pack thing, or just take a break. I just feel like I'm always in such a rush. So, what was my mind's all over the place. So double rig, the bottom one is just metallic lure. I think it also makes a sound, and it's also kind of heavy. What's great about it is it drops fast, and I could feel it when it's hitting bottom, and I could just kind of give it a quick jig up. And the lure above it, I typically use white, speckled white or clear soft bait, whether it's curly tail or those, like, it's kind of like flat at the back. That's it. That was a quick video. Hey, Plain Truth, how's it going? I think you're the only one here. I don't know. People come and go. So that was it. I guess I'll just go and play it back while I just keep talking. Maybe I missed something. Now, I love fishing clear water, especially trout, and clearish water for a lot of different types of fish. But it's nice to fish in really murky, cloudy water just to test your skills. And the fish are very varied. And for example, Lake North, I think it has 3 different types of catfish. There's maybe even 4. So there's flathead catfish, there's channel catfish, there's brown bullhead catfish, and I think there's blue catfish. I don't know about the blue catfish. At least 3, maybe 4 types of catfish. There's walleye and sauger. There's white bass. There's let's see. There's drum, and I think there's northern pike, and of course there's probably largemouth and smallmouth bass, and probably some crappie. Well, I know there's crappie because people said there's crappie, although I never caught a crappie here. If I was gonna catch a crappie here, I would go over to just a corner where there's just a lot of dead trees and try to catch them around there. I really don't want to eat crappie. I've tasted crappie; they're not bad. In my opinion, they're not really good either. Same thing with bluegill. They're okay. Bluegill and crappie, I think they're just okay. Yellow perch, I like. It's good. And walleye, I've only eaten it once before, but I would say it's better than yellow perch. I mean, I'm saying yellow perch caught through the ice in winter. That's how good yellow perch is. And walleye is just a little bit better. I would say that's that white flaky, kind of flaky meat, not really flaky. And I almost lost that one. And white bass and drum, they're not like really flaky. There's kind of, almost a mushy. I really have to probably try them again, but they're kind of mushy, not really crispy meat. It's just a different texture. I've never had northern pike though, so I do want to try northern pike. I'm more of a trout person. Rainbow trout, I could tell the difference between rainbow trout and brown trout and even brook trout. I mean, the taste is subtle as far as the differences, but I could usually taste the differences. The thing is, when I'm fishing here on Lake North, and especially that little between the gate, on one side of the gate, at the very bottom you'll find catfish, walleye, and drum. So I was wanting to catch catfish that day, but if I caught a walleye, I wouldn't mind. Now I know that if I catch a walleye, I'm just as happy as if I caught a walleye or a catfish. Now at the bottom, channel cats are pretty prevalent, and brown bullheads will be at the very bottom of the water. So if you want to catch them, same thing with walleye and drum. They're just at the very bottom looking for their food. So if you want to catch them, you need to make sure that your bait is at the very bottom or at anywhere like you can jig it up to maybe like half a foot. So from the very bottom to about 6 inches. Just have it kind of bounce off, and you'll get them. Now, if you want white bass, on the other hand, you want to be anywhere from a 1 or 2, probably 2 feet from the bottom, to about 4 to 5 feet from below the surface of the water. That's where I've always caught the white bass around here, and they're not at the bottom. They're usually chasing after a lot of the bait fish. So I'm not looking to catch. I would say if you're gonna fish in that area, you're going to probably catch some crappie, some bluegill, sunfish type of fish, and yellow perch. If there were yellow perch, but there's not. White perch, I would say. If there were white perch, good thing there's no white perch here. White bass are annoying enough. So those like that little area from 2 feet from the bottom all the way up to maybe 5 feet below the surface. Now, if you want to catch walleye and sauger and channel cats, brown bullhead, what have you, you're going to want to fish at the bottom, anywhere from the bottom to about 6 inches above the bottom. Otherwise, you're not going to catch them. And people don't like drum. They call them trash fish. And a couple of people wouldn't want to take them. But some people, they like them. And they're just native invasive species of Nebraska, I think. So it's annoying because you got a lot of fish that you would rather eat. Instead, you end up catching drum. And let's see, what else is there to talk about? It's been 25 minutes. I'll probably give this a full second run through again if anybody wants to come in and talk about fishing, all things fishing. I do miss fishing out in the ocean. And there's just a lot of differences, freshwater fishing and ocean water fishing. And now that I'm just as far away from any ocean as possible, I'm more focused on fishing different types of fish, just because like trout aren't going to be stocked here until probably the end of October. And if I want to catch trout, it's going to be 90 minutes no matter what. So that leaves me with other fish to try out, see if I like them or anyone from my family likes them. So as far as walleye goes, everyone in my family seems to like walleye. Everyone in my family loves trout, except for my son, who doesn't seem to like trout. But maybe it's just the way I prep it. I think if I bread it, he really likes it. What else is there? Catfish. I think just me and my wife, or maybe just me, like catfish. And of course, my dog. Our dog gets spoiled with fish. He loves fish, which is a good thing, and a bad thing, because he's always begging for the fish. What else is there? I think what I might do is, once I kind of reorganize, and it's gonna be a pain in the butt to reorganize, I think I will try, or at least I will try to find a setup. Maybe do a setup where I'll do like a dual camera, so you can see me and you can see what my hands are doing, and I could just show you just different types of setups. This one, what I typically don't like doing is doing double hooks, 2 hooks on one line, just because they get tangled so easily. But now that I've used these 3-way swivel barrels, I don't get tangled up very much, and there's a certain way to do it. For example, if you've got so your main line goes to the top of the hook, to the barrel, 3-way swivel barrel. And then you've got your leader at the bottom, which is, say, anywhere from a foot to 2 feet. Now, if your bottom leader is 2 feet, then your mid leader, your secondary hook, is just going to be a half a foot. So if your bottom leader is 2 feet, then your middle leader should be 1 foot. So just half. Also, only put the hook on your middle leader, the one that's going to meet it halfway. And the reason why is, if you have a jig head or lure that has treble hooks, it's just going to get tangled up really easy. So you just want a single hook and put in some whatever bait that you want. And you also don't want it very heavy, because that affects the way your bait moves. I mean, you can put a weight on it or a jig head on it, like a lightweight jig head, but just know what you're doing. I would just say that. And for your bottom one, you could pretty much put anything. I would probably put a jig head at the bottom of the bottom leader, and that, or what I like to use is a lure that has 2 treble hooks. And you can see here, this is one where you see me jigging, so it's hitting the bottom lure is hitting the bottom and moving it up just slightly, and then I'll get a nibble, and then I'll set the hook. And you can see the end of the rod, and it's just a lightweight rod. It's not ultralight, and it's kind of tough at this spot, because if it goes too far under, it's just your lure's gonna get snagged. So it's a pain in the butt to have that happen. But that's the way I end up catching catfish and walleye, and apparently a whole bunch of drum. What sucks around here, I wish it was different. Maybe I'm pretty sure I'd have to go over to like the Rockies in order to have cleaner water, like creek water, river water. But water here is pretty murky and not very clear. And again, the technique. So I'm jigging up and down, feel a bite, and I set the hook right away. What's funny about it is, now if you have a lure that has 2 treble hooks, one usually at the bottom, one usually at the tail end, sometimes you'll hook a fish jigging and it's not in its mouth. Sometimes I get in the gills, sometimes I get in the side of its body, sometimes I get it in the fin or something odd. Or like the catfish. I got that catfish in its eye. A good hook on its eye. And now I am using 10 pound test on my main line because my rods can support 10 pounds. Now if I am fishing for walleye, you might want to up your leader to a 20 pound test. Some people do 30 pound test, but I think 20 pound test is fine. It's because they've got sharp teeth, and sometimes you might get northern pike, and they've got some sharp teeth too. So maybe that's why people get 30. And catfish, I guess, might be strong enough to pull. But the bad side, what I usually do is I'll have a main line that's 10 pounds, and I'll have a light leader, like a 4 pound leader, for something like trout fishing or crappie or whatever, sunfish, just because if I get snagged, I could pull my line and all I do is lose my hook and not a whole bunch. I won't have to snap my line. I won't lose my barrel weight or whatever, bullet weight. And I think that's great if you can do that. But if you are going to fish for fish that have sharp teeth, definitely use stronger, heavier line. That's pretty much as I can say. This is running through the second time, and of course, most of the focus is on my crotch, which I need to adjust my whatchamacallit. I don't know what you would call it. All right, let's get rid of the main monitor, or how about we just go here. All right, so that's it. Thank you for joining me for talking all things fishing. I think fishing is pretty important. I think what I would have loved to have seen is just historically seeing so many fish that they're just jumping out of the water. I think when I was studying or reading way back in high school, or maybe it was junior high, of the Lewis and Clark expedition, and they would just say, there's just so much fish that you could just catch it with your hands. It was that crazy. That would have been nice. That's not the case anymore. Sometimes I have that feeling that the all the toxicity and stuff in the water and the dams was meant to prevent people and actually prevent fish from migrating and spawning, and to be in and just having a healthy ability to reproduce in the wild. Because if you look at areas that have just clean, spring clear water, it's not affected by runoff and things like that, fish is abundant. I mean, they almost don't have to stock it. I mean, the wild trout and populations and stuff like that, they do pretty well, and they can get pretty big. And same thing with other population of fish. And they've also did so many kill-offs, even Walden Pond, which kills me. Walden Pond in Massachusetts, which is one of my favorite places to fish. They've, even in Henry Walden Thoreau's time, did I say Henry Walden? Sorry. Wait, that is his name, isn't it? That's what they call it. No, never mind. I am. It's getting late. But they ended up poisoning the water. I don't think they used some poison which pretty much deoxygenates the water, so it doesn't really have like harmful effects for the fish. It just makes it so the fish can't breathe because there's no oxygen in the water. And then after that, they fill it up with sports fish. So way back, a lot of the fish that might have been around is stuff like northern pike and largemouth bass, smallmouth bass, catfish. I don't know how walleye populations did or whatnot, but I don't think so. Northern pike, and stuff like that, where people don't really like fishing a lot, I guess. But I mean, they're there. Just certain fish populations just seem to thrive, and people call them invasive just because they don't like that type of fish. It kind of sucks. If you look around, I am going to talk more about this topic, especially with what is that fish? Let me try to find it. Let's see. I am tapping here. No? Oh, that's weird. Ah, here we go. This double header here. That's good. Here we go. And let's go with Firefox browser. All right. So look. May 31st, 2019. Get paid to fish. Earn $20 per northern pike caught. This is in Denver. But another thing is pikeminnow.org. Yeah, it also pays. And the thing is, I think they're all native. They're native, but they call them invasive or something. We'll see what they say about it. Okay. So $20 per northern pike caught in northwest Colorado, because they eat all the sports fish like trout. We need critical thinking. So let's see. This is May 31st, 2019 by denver.cbslocal.com. I don't really see a author. So Colorado Parks and Wildlife is willing to pay $20 for every northern pike you catch at Kenny Reservoir, the White River, and other waters in northwestern Colorado beginning June 1st and continuing through November 30th. So rather than using deoxygenating water and killing all the fish, what they're trying to do is just because then they'll kill all the other good fish, the sports fish, and other fish that the sport fish probably feast on if they get to a good size. Like, for example, trout. And I'm pretty sure these are because of the popularity of the trout. Trout, once they reach a certain size, they no longer eat what they eat, which is what the smaller fish might eat. Not saying all the time, but the majority of the time they might be, especially brown trout, they'll just start eating other fish. They won't really worry too much about flies, although I think they do like flies just to taste. Who knows? But one good meal and I think they're set, and then they'll just like eat a little bit of other food. No, I don't know. I'll have to think about that. That's just could be one of those wives' tales or one of those things like that. All right. So CPW officials say northern pike are indiscriminate predators and consume any fish they catch. Yeah, just look at this sharp teeth. Putting Colorado's endangered fish, Colorado pike minnow. Ooh, that's interesting. I guess that's a different pike minnow. Humpback chub, bony tail, and razorback sucker at risk. The rare species exists nowhere else in the world except in the upper Colorado River Basin. Okay. Additionally, here we go. CPW stocks rainbow trout annually at Kenny Reservoir because of the presence of the northern pike. Officials say they will have to cancel the remaining catchable trout plans in the reservoir this year. Which sucks. They should keep the northern pike. I don't know why they want to make this decision. Northern pike is good. It's not really that fatty. Trout, I think, is people like it just because it's got a lot of omega-3s and things like that. Pretty fatty fish. Northern pike, mostly just leaner meat, non-fatty. But wow. Illegal fish. Okay, so what happened is that the northern pike were most likely dumped illegally into the reservoir or the wet river. I don't think so. I think it's just their ability to survive all year round, especially in the cold waters. They were probably there a long, long time ago and killed off or probably done similar things in the past that nobody really remembers or knows about. But they know. I think I'm getting a cold or some allergies. And so I would say this is kind of a lie right here. Again, they're not for sure. They're just saying they believe were most likely dumped illegally into the reservoir. But that's not the case. Northern pike are pretty much everywhere. And the reason why a lot of people hate northern pike is because they eat all the sports fish. And same thing with Walton Pond. You know, when you look at Henry Thoreau's writings, I mean, he talks about people fishing through the ice and stuff. He doesn't talk about trout. It's northern pike he talks about. So a lot of these fish, especially northern pike, have been around for a long while, and I think we just messed around with too much stuff. We messed around with damming a lot of the rivers, so a lot of the migrations and stuff have stopped. Dumping all these chemicals into the river systems, the waterways and stuff like that, probably killed off certain types of species, whether it's fish or plant life or insects, and probably affected. I would say it probably affected like the eggs mostly. Who knows? They don't even have studies on this stuff because they don't want exposure. So just a bunch of different things, and again, they're poisoning off different types of reservoirs and lakes and ponds and stuff like that, just so they could stock sports fish, because they don't want northern pike. Like today, I saw northern pike on the street. Like maybe people seem to hate them more than drum. They call drum a trash fish, so what would they call northern pike? It doesn't. I actually want to catch a northern pike. I've never caught a northern pike before. That would be fun to catch one. Anyways, so there's that, and here's another one. Here's the Northern Pike Minnow Sport Reward Program. Again, you can get paid by catching fish and putting it in. Now, the thing with the okay, so let's see. Pike minnow, so it's like save a salmon and make money doing it. So they want to save salmon and trout. People have made a lot of money, and I was like, hey, that'd be kind of fun. But then you think about, man, we're just catching fish and just killing them. I don't even know what they do with the fish. Hopefully they eat the fish, but it's a weird program. And the reason why they catch the pike minnow, and again, the pike minnow is native to, I think, the Northwest, where it's out there, and they eat the smaller trout. They eat the eggs, and stuff like that, and that's why they don't want the pike minnow. So it's like the trout are just the favored species, and I think brown trout are native to Europe. So they've been brought over here. Rainbow trout, or maybe it's rainbow trout that's native to Europe. Brook trout, I think they are native in North America, And again, there used to be migrating Atlantic salmon in the East Coast, and of course you've got the is it Pacific salmon, and of course the Northwest. And if you go up north over in near the Arctic in Canada and Alaska, you've got Arctic char, which is another type of salmonid. But they keep on stocking them over in the United States, and once you're kind of in the Midwest, they'll die off in hot weather when the water gets pretty warm. But they're usually fine year round. Like in Massachusetts, where it's kind of the water temperature is always cold, especially like at Walden Pond. They just stay alive. They can stay alive for years. All right, some chat. Oh man, yeah. I think I am getting sick. Excuse me. I've had coughing and now I got runny nose. So I have a feeling I might have. I haven't really been sick since I've moved to Nebraska. Like sick. I've had like little colds and stuff like that, and I think this is what this is. All right, let me read the chat. We need critical thinking. If in heavily populated California, we probably fished out if not for the stocking. Yeah. But I think I think a lot of the reasons why I'd say 3 reasons. This top 3 reasons: the damming of the waterways, the chemicals that are with the runoff in the waterways, and 3, having preference for certain type of fish to live in certain body of water over the native species that are there. I guess you could go 4 if introduction of invasive species of fish, like carp and stuff like that, that can also have harmful effects for fishing populations, especially if, for example, you've got a lot of carp or sucker fish, ground feeding fish. They'll eat up all the eggs. You know, if trout or other types of fish are spawning, they'll just eat all the eggs up. And there you go. There goes your brood. We need critical thinking. One of these days, the stars will align. We will have Ebon and Bob talking shop on fishing. Good Bob will bring libations. Yeah, I started this because Bob segued once before, but I actually like it because there's just plenty of things to talk about along with fishing, which there's so much spin from mainstream media and the government and stuff like that. And the problem is, they're the reasons why we have so many problems and where we can't get fish. I mean, fish have been always so plentiful, and now what we've got are largemouth bass. Who likes eating largemouth bass? I think they're like my least favorite fish to eat. They're really fun to catch, but I would rather eat smallmouth bass than largemouth bass. Smallmouth bass, I don't know if largemouth bass, what genus or family they're in, but I know smallmouth bass are part of the sunfish family. So someone could update me on that. I have done ocean fishing back. I used to fish as a kid for just a little while. Probably not really fishing, just watching my dad fish and crab over in Galveston. And then Pacific Northwest. While I never fished growing up, I did fish for a little while with my uncle who lived on Bainbridge Island. We would fish for flounder, and we did go fishing, me, my dad, my brother, a few times for trout. Although it's some weird place where we went fishing for trout. He wasn't too good. My father wasn't too good of a fisherman. My uncle was. My father wasn't too good. At least not for trout. I think he was more of a ocean fisherman. Same thing with my my uncle. Okay, I mean, they're Korean born and Japanese born, so they're probably could be better at fishing in the ocean. And again, I lived in the east coast in Massachusetts, so I did some striper fishing, striped bass, but I never caught any size to take home. I did a little bit of flounder fishing, but never caught any big enough to take home. It's usually in the off season. Some black bass, they're too small because I always fish from the shore. And scup, I caught a lot of scup, some good sized scup, blue crabs, and I forgot what the fish are called, but they have the wings, and those are usually the only good parts to eat of that fish. Oh man, my nose is running like a faucet. Excuse me. Port film co-op. I wish I could fish, but I hate eating it. I just can't eat it. I think it's really based on how you prep it, and a lot of people get here's one thing I do want to contribute is making videos. Is pretty much any fish is edible. I think you have to just prep it nicely. I think there's some that might be like my fishing challenge is make every type of fish edible, or at least good enough to eat, that you're happy to be eating. Let's see. Fresh orange roughy tastes like good chicken, not fishy, but it has been fished out, not easily sustainable, I guess. Grant drivers have witnessed fishing trawlers run up the Shoalhaven illegally fishing that, and council has allowed the river heads to split up because of dam upstream. Port from co-op. Fish is just gross. I can't eat it, but enjoyed fishing when I was a small child. Maybe I should hunt kangaroo. That's good eating one of the best meats you can get. Oof. We need critical thinking. Bass is a sports fish with competitions. Cali, yeah, bass is just competitions everywhere. Even in Boston, even here in Nebraska. Man, I think I may have to stop the stream. It's like once my nose started running, it won't stop. Stonehaven River inlet silting up has made water stagnate. Do beach fishing? Yeah, it's mostly beach fishing. I've never really been out on a boat to fish. Ever. I've been on my own kayak or a rowboat, but not like on a actual speedboat or something, or big thing. Big, I don't know what you call it, ship or something. I would love to get on a big boat or a ship to fish. That costs money though, and that'd be weird. Scuba diving, spearfishing, or snorkeling. Spearfishing would be great. Never done that. Doesn't seem to make sense to get all that gear to when you can catch. As far as freshwater fishing, I don't see any reason for spearfishing. I might be able to see it if you want to just that additional challenge, not spearfishing, but like archery fishing. That would be that'd be pretty interesting. Like the flathead catfish that just kind of jump over. I'd say if I had like a small kayak or something, I think spearfishing would, or bow and arrow fishing would do really good for that. But a lot of other fish you really wouldn't see. I think if you're in small ponds, you might be able to see You might be able to do spearfishing or bow and arrow fishing for largemouth bass and smallmouth bass, just because you could just see them kind of near the shoreline during the hotter weather. And that's actually the best way, because I've always tried to catch some of them. I dangle out. They have such great eyesight. I just dangle out different types of bait, and they'll never take it just because they see you. Let's see. More talking about cavers. Anyways, thank you for joining me. It's reaching the hour mark, and I think I might be going through a whole box of tissue. So that'll end it for tonight. Tomorrow night, we'll do like share your recipe. We'll try that out. And if no one shares recipes, then we probably won't do that for very long. But I think what I might do is instead of doing talking all things fishing every Monday, I think I'm going to narrow it down and just talk about specific topics of fishing. Not just like how to tie lures and whatever, but actually have stuff where this is how fishing used to be. This is how much fish used to live in the waters in this area, that area, whatever. And just like I was just saying, how we have, I could probably name top 5 very big factors that have probably made it so people couldn't, just ordinary people couldn't just sustain a living off of fishing. I play this game, and maybe I don't know if I may just do one of those videos where I'll just play it and people watch it, just those pre-made videos. But what's hard is having the time to do both. Like for me to edit a video takes a couple hours. It takes a couple hours actually recording something, and then editing something, and then producing it, and then going live as well. It's just a lot of time. So I'll figure something out. But man, stuffy nose now. I don't want to blow my nose all night. Yeah. So I think I'll do that. Just so much I could do topics about in just that area alone. And that no one else is really talking about it. And I think it might be good to set things straight as well. I mean, that people, there's so many misconceptions about fishing, and when they call I had to do it. When people call certain fish predator fish for different types of fish, it's like, yeah, because that's what they do. That's that fish. Or they call it invasive fish species. Yeah, it's invasive, but is it native? If it's non-native, that's one thing. But if it's native and you're calling it invasive fish species, no, that's just the fish species. That's just there because it's native. And what they're doing is they just wanting people. They just want to save that area for stocked fish that's not really native. And it kills me because it's like, look, you call it invasive, but they're native, and then you got and yeah, they're predators because they prey on different fish that's around there, bait fish, because that's how they survived. And then instead they'll bring in non-invasive fish, which they have to stock, or they have to get paid money to stock, and that's why they want it, because people pay them to stock the waters or the fish. And it's non-native fish, they're not invasive. Well, they can be predators, but they're not really huge predators. So just all the different types of wording, the spin and all of that stuff, you just see it everywhere. People see it in video games, people see it in movies, people see it in TV shows, people see it in news, people see it in the government, all the spin, all these lies, history books, everything. Religion even. But fishing, even fishing, they have a whole bunch of propaganda and spin and things like that, and it sucks. I don't see it ever getting better, unfortunately. But let's save it for those Mondays. So future Mondays, talking about fishing. It's not just going to be about fishing. It's going to be about learning about the propaganda that goes on with all the stuff that is around fishing. Oh, man. All right. So that's it. Thank you for stopping by. And I am going to drink lots and lots of tea. All right. Good night. Thank you. And I'll see you tomorrow night.